Is the mic on? Hello? Hello? Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. Today's plan is to talk a little bit about Cody, maybe give some tips here and there, and I want to discuss the Cody matchup short. So we're gonna check out the matchup short for Cody, what is his good matchups, what is his bad matchups, and all of that. And so let's wait for a little bit for some people to come. I'm gonna start at 8:30. So let's give it a 5 minutes or so, and then we can start start with the stream. But is the audio good? Let me know what it is. Is the game audio and my audio, is it good? Is it too quiet, too low? Please let me know. One, two, three, four. Okay. I'll turn the game volume a little bit down because I feel like the music is too high. It's too loud, I say. I'll turn the game volume a little bit down because I feel like the music is too high. It's too loud, I say. Is it too quiet now? It is good. Okay. So let's wait till 8:30 and then we can start with this one. So actually, before we start, I wanted to talk to you guys about something which is kinda nice. I plan on making a video on how you can condition someone, right? And usually, especially, like this is gonna apply mostly when you're on offense, right? But let's not make it on defense, let's make it on quick rise. Alright, so now Ryu will wake up with his 3 frame. Usually when you're trying to pressure someone, or let's say you are on defense, what I noticed is that most people on defense, they tend to act based on habit, and they don't really think about their decision making. So for example, let's say that I'm a Cody now, like I'm using Cody, and I want to condition my opponent to stop mashing on wake up. So the first step you need to do is to figure out, is your opponent actively thinking on defense, or are they just acting out of habit? So for example, now Ryu is gonna wake up with his jab, right? If you wanna know if your opponent is thinking or acting on habit, the first step is do a knockdown that you don't really get OK on. So for example, I can do something like this, right? Like into a heavy kick Rufian. Cody doesn't really get anything here. If you notice that Ryu is waking up with a jab in an instant like that one, he's not really thinking on defense. This guy is acting out of habit, which means that when he's feeling pressured, he is gonna wake up with lights. So for example, if we repeated the same sequence, right, he's gonna get crush counter. And really, when you think about it, there is no reason for him to wake up 3 frames there, right? Like if he was quick rising, yeah, he can get like thrown on this one, right? So that, maybe here he might think about this reframe, but there is no reason for him to wake, quick rise or do his reframe on a back rise, right? This just means that he's doing it out of habit. And this guy, you can't really condition them as much as you can exploit them, right? Now I know that he is gonna wake up with this reframe every single time, so you can kinda go ham on them. I think a Japanese execution would be great, irrelevant in control. Yeah, I like the idea of execution as well. Maybe you can make something on that. So this is just a quick tip, like something I like to do actually when when I'm going against someone, just to start, just check them out, see if they like what are their defensive style. Like, does he really think on defense, or does he just doing things? Alright, let's actually get to the matchup chart now, because this is interesting. So this is a Cody matchup chart, right? And usually when people talk about matchups, they comment based on if two players of the same level, usually high level, if the two players of the same or high level are playing against each other and they are playing a first to 10, right? Which is likely to win more. So for example, if we say that Cody versus, like, let's say an example here, let's say Cody versus Abigail is 7-3. This means that if Cody and Abigail play against each other, both players are high level and of the same, roughly of the same skill level, Cody will win 7 times out of 3, right? The Cody player will win 7 times. There is something I generally want to say about Cody, and it is that he is generally better in short sets versus long sets. That's just my general, what I found with Cody for the most part to work. He's a character who really does well in short sets. The longer the set goes, the harder it gets for him. And that's kind of unfortunate because he's kind of gimmicky. You can get away with so many stuff if your opponent don't know the matchup, but in the future it kind of goes down. So let's start with this one. Should we start alphabetically or go with the good matchups first and then, check out the bad matchup? Let me know. Do you guys want to start it alphabetically or just start from good to bad? I think I'm gonna start it with the just start from Abigail. Okay, that makes sense. So thankfully, I do think that Abigail is one of Cody's better matchups. Abigail is annoying to many characters. He can be hard to beat. I think he's a very strong character, but one of the reasons that Cody does well against him is Abigail have a lot of like checkmate situations, especially with his charged attacks, and Cody have good answers to these with the V skills, with his especially this way. Cody, I found Cody's fireball to be kind of difficult for Abigail to go across because Cody kind of have a tall fireball. So if you look at this, Cody's fireball is kind of tall, right? So I found it that Abigail have difficulty actually jumping over them or something. So I do think it's actually good for Cody. And the medium kick Ruffian is hard for Abigail to punish. He doesn't get meaningful punish when he punishes it. So for that, I think it's actually really good for Cody. So that one is for Cody advantage. That's nice. So Abigail is 6-4. What's next? Alex. I think Alex is 5-5. Cody have good options against Alex, but also you have to consider that Cody kinda, Especially now when Alex is in, especially with his new and improved command grab, it is hard for Cody to actually challenge. So I don't know. I think it's 5-5 at best. I think Alex is 5-5. It's hard for me now to say that Cody wins Alex. Last season, I would say Cody wins it 6-4. Last season, this would have been 6-4, but now I think it's 5-5. Blanca. Blanca's 5-5 as well. So here's the thing about Blanca. The biggest issue with Blanca is you need to be charging EX Zonk because his light Blanca ball gets very easily punished by EX Zonk. And if you happen to charge in level 2, you can get a big punish on that, much bigger than most of the game can get. So that is very, very strong actually. And Cody generally have strong anti-air. Cody have strong anti-air as long as you're jumping in front of him, right? So even like against his rainbow ball and all of that stuff, the heavy kick Rufian is actually really nice. So I think this matchup as well, if you can survive his V trigger, I don't think Cody loses that one at all. Vega. No, that over here just went through the daylight saving. It's actually time is 7. Oh shit! I actually didn't know that. Oh, sorry about that. I thought it was 6:30. So it is 7:30 now. Oh, sorry about that, Rachel. Sorry for the delays and. Alright, let's not stall anymore. Let's talk about Vega. Vega also I do think is 5-5. Vega is hard. The neutral is kind of difficult against Vega, but once you get in on him, Cody can actually do really, really well. His defensive options they're kind of fine now, but I do think, especially with the pipe, with the V trigger 2, Cody does well versus him. And yeah, I'm also not completely 100% what the Vega changes for this season would change in the matchup. I'm trying to think maybe something would have changed, but not really, you know. So I do think it is still 5-5. Birdie is 4-6. So here's the thing about Birdie. Birdie and Cody are very similar design-wise, right? When you really think about it, Birdie and Cody are very similar in how they play. Birdie is a little bit slower, but have a little bit more range. Cody have he's a little bit stubbier, but is faster on the ground. So when you consider all of that, the tornado, it's very hard to use the tornado versus Birdie because of his bullhorn. And the biggest issue is that Birdie can now use his EX, his EX bullhead is free on Cody. When Cody first came out, his standing light kick would punish it on block. Now you don't get that anymore. So he can use it as much as he can, as he wants. It's kind of a trolly thing to throw out versus Cody. And of course, Birdie does a ton of damage. He is whiff punishable, so you can wait for him and try to play the whiff punish game. But also, Cody himself is whiff punishable, and Birdie have longer range in general. But I do think like the Onga factor is better on Birdie, right? And of course, he have armor on Wake Up. Cody doesn't really have that much in terms of defensive options. The Sway doesn't do anything. V-Skill 1 doesn't really do anything. So, I don't know. It is difficult. Balrog. Balrog, it's gonna be weird. Might surprise some people. This one is 6-4, I believe. Balrog, while I do think that the dash punch being -4 is very strong, and Balrog is very strong right now, you also have to think that the Sway give Balrog something to think about. Cody is not really affected by the -4 dash punch as much as the other characters. So for example, because you have the Sway, because Balrog can't really mindlessly throw out the dash punches, you're kind of giving him something to think about, which I do believe makes a ton of difference. I do think V-Shift probably helps him survive Cody's V-Trigger too, though. Which I don't know. Like, now I'm thinking about it, V-Shift does help him versus Cody, especially with V-Trigger 2, but I think Cody still does well versus him. I think Cody still beats Balrog overall. Of course, we're not gonna do Cody. Cammy. Alright, so I've been playing Cammy recently. I played this matchup from both sides. This is 5-5. I know you will have so many Cammy players tell you that Cody beats Cammy. That is not true. That is not true, right? Cody can anti-air her dive kick, right? And he can deal with her V-Trigger 1 dive kicks. But Cammy wins on the ground. And I played this matchup from both sides. Like now I played it from the Cody side, I played it from the Cammy side. Cammy is stronger on the ground. If the entire argument is he can anti-air dive kick, no. Really, that is a stupid argument. Honestly, Cammy is a much stronger character on the ground. She's way faster. Her whiff punishment game is really good, and she's a lot harder to whiff punish than Cody. And of course, her defense is a lot stronger. Her pressure is a lot stronger. Cody have very weak deep pressure. So when, for example, if Cody gets whiff punished, he get rigged, right? Because now Cammy's in his face. It's very hard to defend. The other way around, not so much. And I do think she wins the ground. Even so, she can't really dive kick as freely as against other characters. I still think she wins the ground battle. Chun-Li is 4-6. Chun-Li is very difficult for Cody. This is one of the matchups where I have to use a knife. I don't think Cody can actually win this with the V-Trigger 2. I mean, you can kinda if you're spend like you will need to get lucky and land a crouching heavy punch and catch some sort of movement. The knife helps versus Chun-Li, but the neutral is honestly brutally difficult. Chun-Li is very hard to whiff punish. Like your best luck or your best option is to hopefully use your standing light kick and catch some sort of normal as it's coming out, but otherwise it's a very difficult match. It's very difficult, it's very annoying. Like if you ask any Cody player, none of them loves this matchup. It's hell pretty much. Dulcim is 3-7. I don't think I actually need to comment on that one that much. Dulcim is unplayable almost for Cody. If you have other characters, use them. This one is hell on earth, pretty much. Like there's nothing you can do in it. Your best options were honestly just get V-Trigger 2 and hope to God that you were somehow able to rob him. You might win a match, you might win a first to 2. There is no way a Cody will ever beat Dulcim in a long set. That is impossible. No matter how much better the Cody player is playing, that matchup is simply impossible to win in a long set. So that kinda sucks. Ed, in the previous season, Ed was 6-4 in my opinion, but now I do think with his damage output and his pressure and the ability for him to do crouching medium punch, standing medium, crouching medium kick into the 1-2-3, the flicker and all of that, I think Ed is kinda in a... I think it's 5-5. I think Cody used to easily beat Ed because Ed was kinda whiff punishable and it was kinda unsafe and not really consistent. But now I think Cody does well versus him. I think overall it is 5-5. The buffs helped Ed a lot in this matchup, especially the buffs to the flicker and just being able to, kind of bully with his standing medium punch. The pressure can be difficult for Cody to deal with, so that's 5-5. F.A.N.G is 4-6. So here's the thing about F.A.N.G. The issue with F.A.N.G is that his F.A.N.G zoning, Cody loses almost at every point on the screen to F.A.N.G. But that was yeah, Groove. But the thing is, if they know how to play in Dulcim, it's just hell. It's honestly just hell. The matchup is impossible. All they have to do is just press medium kick, press medium punch, V reversal EX zonk, and anti-air when you jump. That is everything that Dulcim have to do. and there's nothing Cody can do about it. Like, there's literally nothing Cody can do about it. So let's get back to F.A.N.G. The issue with F.A.N.G is that it's hard for Cody once Cody is pressured, and it is hard for you to navigate through his zoning. The Sways doesn't do anything versus the Cloud or his Fireballs. It's not really effective in that way. Cody doesn't really have an option to beat Fireballs. F.A.N.G is kind of hard to whiff punish. When you have a 4-frame, it is very difficult to interrupt his pressure. You have to eat stuff like his coward crouch, buttons. You have to eat his standing heavy kick. F.A.N.G is honestly just hope for the best, but it's not a matchup I would normally play if I'm using Cody, in all honesty. Like, if I want in tournament and I have to play F.A.N.G, I wouldn't use Cody. That's just my opinion. Falke is 4-6. Falke again, this one is kinda difficult, but I do think it's winnable. Definitely hit F.A.N.G more than Dawson. Yeah, F.A.N.G is very, very hard. F.A.N.G is very hard for Cody. Falke is for, feels like you just need you need to hope for, basically, although your best option against Falke or against F.A.N.G is to hope that you somehow rob him, right? Like, you're just hoping for robbery. Nothing more than that. Falke is 4-6. So versus Falke, you need to use the knife. The knife is very important versus Falke. You have to use the knife. I would also use V-Skill 1. You don't really get much out of V-Skill 2, so you run V-Skill 1, you run V-Trigger 1. V-Skill 1 is good versus her jumping stomp stuff, and V-Trigger 1 is really good versus her normals. It is still kind of difficult. You know what? I think it can be 5-5 even. I don't think it's honestly that bad. I think Falke is just if you're using V-Trigger 1, V-Skill 1, I do think Falke is probably 5-5. It's a little bit difficult, but it's not overwhelmingly hard. G is 4-6. The thing about G is that you know what? G is kind of like 4.5. G is kind of like we're getting to them on God's level. We are gonna get to them. He does have a couple of really good matchups. The issue with G is that G as a character is very similar to Cody and how Cody plays. Like, these two characters are pretty similar, but I do feel like G is a little bit better in almost all aspects. But now, actually, with the damage nerfs to G and the buffs to Cody, I would like to add another tier. So it's like I wanna add another tier, right? Add a row below, right? So let's actually make a 4.5 here. And I would put G and Falke in 4.5. I do think they are like slight disadvantages, but they are not bad, It's like you can still fight them. They are very winnable. Cody actually have some options versus G. The Fireball now that's a little bit worse. It's a little bit better for Cody. He's doing a little bit less damage overall. The comeback factor is a little bit worse on G. G is not likely to use V-Shift that much because he wants to save his V-Trigger. So that gives you more incentive to like EX Zonk and stuff. So it is good. Akuma. I'm kinda torn on Akuma. Let's say 4.5. Oh, hi Anil. Hi, thank you very much. Akuma I think is 4.5 as well. I think you know what? Akuma's 5.5. Akuma's 5.5. I think now V-Shift kinda helps Cody versus Akuma a little bit. Sway is really good versus Akuma. Cody does stupid damage output now. Akuma have very low HP in comparison to almost everyone. Yeah. Like I get, like the thing about Akuma is that it is difficult. It can be very difficult once you're pressured. But also Akuma loses very quickly. Like it's very easy for Akuma to lose it. So that's why I do think it is, I don't know. That's why I do think it's actually 5-5. I want to add a... I want to add a row below, right? Because I do think we have 3.5 on. And this is gonna be for a special matchup. This boy. Guile is almost a 3-7 matchup for Cody. Last season, I would have put Guile straight into 3-7. Now I think it's 3.5, maybe 4-6 on a good day, but I do think it's still very, very difficult. So Ahmad, this is a Cody matchup short. This means that if a Cody player played versus a player who is using this other character, which one is it likely, like who is more likely to win more games in the first 2 10s? For example, what I'm saying is if Cody played versus Dulcim in 10 games, Cody will win 3 and Dulcim will win 7. Right? This is pretty much the point. Yeah, I do think it is that bad. Cody versus Guile is... that is stuff of nightmares, in all honesty. Cody versus Guile is very, very difficult. I think now it might be a little bit better because of because Guile is a little bit weaker on. So the thing about Guile versus Cody is that Guile is stronger on every single inch of the screen. There is not a single spot on the screen where Cody beats Guile. Guile is better at every single range. Now, after the nerfs to his point blank boom, Cody is a little bit better point blank, but I still think it's very difficult. Actually now even with V-Shift he have more options, you are less likely to rob him with V-Trigger too, so I do think it's still really, really bad. Ibuki is 5-5, I think. Yeah, Guile's button are better than Cody in the neutral. He have way better footsies button, he have better walk speed, better anti-airs, better defense, much better control of the screen. He have much better everything. Ibuki I think is 5-5. The thing about Ibuki is that she can't really if you are BC Box, oh thank you BC Box. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do an updated Cody guide because I'm sorry. Because I already like covered the Cody changes and there is a video for what changes he had, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna do like an entirely new guide for Cody. Oh hey 42D 42DD Alaikum Assalam wa Rahmatullah. Ibuki, yeah, I think Ibuki I think Cody wins the neutral versus Ibuki. You can play it well, you can play V-Trigger 1 or V-Trigger 2. If you are sharp with your neutral jumps and forward jumps against her EX Kunai, you should do alright. So I don't think this is... I think this matchup is fine in all honesty. The hard thing about Ibuki is actually reacting to her wake up, but now it is a little bit easier, so that is better. Juri is 5-5 again. The V skills really help versus Juri. So there is something that Juri players love to do, and it is either when they're in V-Trigger, they're gonna do her two things that are really important to know versus Juri. First of all, when they do her flip kick or the Hazancho V-Trigger activation, it's always very obvious, it's always very, you can see it coming a mile away, and Sway is very good against it. And when you are in V-Trigger 1, they will love to do her a string into the heavy kick, and then maybe use her heavy kick store. And again, you can also sway that. So I do think Cody does really well versus Juri. Ken... Okay, so this one is a little bit... I know this might sound weird if you're not really, if you don't really play Cody that well, or if you don't have that good of neutral with Cody, but I do genuinely think he beats Ken. The hardest part about Ken is you'd be able to defend well against him on your knockdown. If your defense is solid, Cody destroys Ken in the neutral, in my opinion. I think Cody is a lot stronger than Ken in the neutral game. His normals are a lot better. His whiff punishes are a lot better. Cody have more range. His walk speed is really well. You can play footsies with him. You can easily sway his fireballs, even in block strings. I think Cody strongly beats Ken in the neutral. I really do. I think it's kind of an easy matchup. And let's make another row here. We're kind of going ham with the rows now. No, let's do that one. I don't know what. This is whack. Okay, so let's add another one here. This one is gonna be 6.5. Thank you, Muhammad. Thank you very much. 6.5 is Kage. I actually think Cody destroys Kage. This matchup is one of the matchups you will play, and like it's one of the matchups you will very gladly play as Cody. Sway is so powerful versus Kage. It is hilariously unbelievable. Sway makes life so easy versus Kage. You can sway almost everything about his neutral normals. You can sway all of his pressure almost. Kage have low health. Cody have stupid high damage. The forward heavy punch is pretty easy to whiff punish with Cody. And he generally can't really contain Cody in the neutral. The only issues here is if you get knocked down, it can be kinda difficult, but now with V-Shift and you should V-Reversal versus Kage, you don't need V-Trigger to beat him. So I think for that and everything else, I think it's pretty good for Cody. Kolin is 4.5. I don't think it's bad. Maybe now it's actually 5.5. So I do think Kolin slightly wins the neutral. I think Cody holds his own in the neutral. My experience versus Kolin was almost going even or beating her until she activated V-Trigger. But now you can kinda wait it out when she activates that V-Trigger. It's not that bad anymore. Her V-Trigger kinda runs out really quickly. And you still can rob her. Kolin players they absolutely love to hold on to their V-Triggers. So they are very not likely to V-shift or V-reversal or do any of that. And this gives you room to EX Zonk. She struggles versus fireballs. Cody's fireballs are really nice now. You actually get even more damage on their fireballs. So actually let me show you something, guys. The other day I was actually playing in a tournament, right? And so I was actually in a tournament, and it was a tournament for the North African players. And in this tournament, I was fighting. This match was top 16 winners. So if I won this game, I would make it to top 8, right? And I actually got this in the game. And this is actually one of the biggest nerfs to Kolin, right? Usually she could kinda do that versus Cody and escape. But now, actually thanks to this nerf, Cody actually does really well. Like, this got me into top 8 winners of a tournament, thanks to this nerf. And of course, like I said, even if you notice below, he was holding on to his V-Trigger. Kolin players love their V-Triggers. It runs really fast. You're not gonna EX Zonk. So I do think it's actually really good now. I think it's 5.5. PhD, this is Kolin. I play Sagat and we're gonna get to Sagat. Like, we are gonna get to Sagat because I have a lot to say about Sagat now. But the Kolin matchup I think is 5.5 now. I think it used to be slight disadvantage, but I think it's 5.5 now for Cody. Karen is 4.5. Karen is hard for me to say. Maybe 5.5 in all honesty. The issue about Karen... no, 4.5. I think the neutral versus Karen is fine. Cody does well in the neutral versus Karen. The issue is once you get knocked down, you can kind of die easily. But I still think he does well versus a neutral. And this is one matchup where you have to use the knife. The knife is pretty good versus Karen. The issue here is that Cody is also really whiff punishable. So even if you're using the knife, you have to be very careful. Uh, she's not really affected by V shift almost at all. I don't know. Like this one is one where I go from 5-5 to 4-6 a lot, but I think overall it's not that bad. Like yeah, I would say it's easier than Chun-Li, F.A.N.G, and Birdie. I can't say it's harder. Laura's 5-5. Laura, I think Cody wins a neutral, and I think you can do really well versus Laura. Again, one of the other characters who's not really likely to V reversal or V shift, and she needs her V trigger to win. I think Cody wins a neutral. She needs her V trigger to win, and because of that, you can kinda rob her with V trigger 2, right? And overall, her defensive options are not that great. Once you knock her down, you can do work. A lot of her resets rely on side switch mix-ups, and V-Shift is very good versus that now. And another thing that's actually really good versus Laura is if you're using this way, Laura players love to do standing heavy punch into EX Fireball, and you can actually sway that and get a punish on her. So for that, I do think it's actually, I think it's 5-5. But still, Laura is Laura, you know, she can still rob you. But I do think he wins the neutral. So Shadowbox, this is a matchup short. Again, for anyone who's like just tuned in, this is a matchup short. This is a matchup short for Cody. The thing is, we wanna see, like for example, the idea here is if two players of the same skill level played a first to 10, like played 10 games, which are most likely to win the biggest number of matches. So for example, if Cody played against Dulcim 10 games, Dulcim was win 7, Cody will win 3, right? This is like how you gauge how good or bad a matchup is, right? So let's now talk about Minat. Minat, I honestly have not played that much. I don't think I have a good grasp on Minat, in all honesty. Okay, I don't know. Like, I will admit I don't know the Minat matchup. Like, I don't know anyone who plays Minat. I don't know anyone that does. Thank you, Preston, so much. Thank you. I'm not sure about Minat. Like, I'm honestly not sure because I have very little experience actually playing the matchup. So I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, but I do think it will probably be like in the 4-6 area. Like if I had to guess it, I would have to say it's gonna be this range. It is kind of difficult, but I don't know. Like I honestly don't have that much experience in it to tell. Since I don't know, let's make it 5-5. Like I'm not sure on this one at all, so I don't know. Let's make it 5-5 since I don't know the matchup that well. I mean, yeah, Shadow kinda, but again, it is very difficult to get in actually. Nikali, I do think it's 6-4. Here's the thing about Nikali, again, another character that Cody beats in the neutral. Nikali can be hard if he activates his V-trigger, but otherwise I do think that Cody does very very well versus... Cody beats Minat Other? Is that what you're saying? 6-4? Cody wins? I honestly have not played it versus a good Minat, so I can't really comment on it that much. But so I'm not. I don't know. I'm gonna put it in 5-5 until further notice. But for now, you know, I can't really comment. Nikali is good. I think. I think Cody does really well in the neutral versus Nikali. You can. He outranges him heavily. Cody is. You get a lot more on wave punishes. Nikali is often likely to keep his V trigger, or if he activates his V trigger, it stays kind of a long time. He struggles versus the Zonk. I don't. Maybe 6-4 is a little bit too much, but I do think Cody does really well against him. Nash is 6-4, I think. Nash is kind of weird because it can be hard to it can be hard to navigate his zoning, but once you do get in, he's toast, right? And the only issue with Nash, like the only issue with the matchup, is that Cody doesn't have a good punish on the medium kick Sonic Psych. Like, that's it. But I think otherwise, Cody does really, really well versus Nash. He have very good answer. Sway is very strong versus Nash, and especially against his V-Trigger, against his moonsaults. Sway is fantastic versus all of that stuff. Even your standing heavy punch is a fantastic anti-air. I think Cody does really, really well versus Nash. Mika, I think, is 6'4 as well. Mika is a matchup where you have to use V-Skill 1. Because V-Skill 1 give you... because V-Skill 1 gives you a lot of options versus her throw game. V-Skill 1 gives you an option versus her throw game that you have to worry about. Cody destroys her in the neutral. Cody now have a really good... Cody now have a really good jumping cross-up. Her anti-air against cross-ups is really weak. Her mid-screen pressure is really, really weak now as well. And just having the ability to, you know, kinda annoy her, or... She have to worry about the V-Skill 1. Right? Like, that is really valuable. It's like one of the few matchups where V-Skill 1 is actually really, really, really good. Rashid, I think, is 5'5". So this one might be a little bit weird, but I do think Cody fights Rashid really well, actually. Much better than most of the cast. I think in the neutral, Cody can hang really well with Rashid. A lot of his normals, like his crouching heavy punch, standing heavy punch, is... Crouching heavy punch is easily with punishable with standing medium. His standing heavy is with punishable with standing light kick. If you are using the sway, you can easily kind of go through his tornado pressure. Cody have long range on his 4 frames. Even if you guess right, you can even use the knife, you can use the pipe. Both of them work against Rashid. So I do think Cody does really well versus Rashid overall. Even though I do think Cody also have really good anti-airs from the front. Rashid is most likely to jump from that range. You can use V-Skill 1 if you're not really sure about his... like if you want an easy answer to his tornado pressure, you can just use V-Skill 1. It's very, very good against that. So overall, I do think actually Cody does well. But of course, it's still Rashid, you know? Like, he can still wreck you if he knocks you down once. So I don't know. But I do overall think he beats, you know, he does really well versus Rashid. Much better than the average. Now for the anticipated one, right? Where do you think this guy is gonna go? Because this one is gonna be a little bit controversial. I'm interested. But for me, in my opinion, this is a 4-6 matchup. I think Ryu beats Cody. I don't know if it's as bad as a 3-7. Like 3-7 seems kind of harsh. It's not as bad as Dulcim and Guile in my opinion, but it's very, very difficult. And the reason that Ryu is very difficult is that the neutral game versus Ryu is very hard. It's very, very hard. The fireballs are really hard to deal with. His solar plexus is an issue. His dash is very difficult. Cody really struggles now. Ryu does a ton of damage. Ryu have strong answers to everything Cody does. It's just a very difficult matchup. Like this is one of these matchups where I do think it was 5-5 before. I think when Cody first came out before Sway, this was 4-6, right? After Sway, after V-Skill 2, it became 5-5, but after the recent Ryu buffs, it's very hard to not see this as a bad matchup. It's very difficult to call it even, in all honesty. Like, when I look at everyone in 5-5, all of them are easier than Ryu. And even these guys, even G, Falke, and Karen, all of them are easier than Ryu. Ryu is very difficult. And while we're at it, and I know some people might actually debate this. This matchup was last season. I would have said this is 6-4. Now this is 4-6. I genuinely believe Cody loses to Sagat now. Just because it is almost inhumanly possible to sway his heavy tiger shots. If you are talking about the standing tiger shots or the crouching tiger shots, if he's doing the heavy one, you cannot react and sway. They are so fast now. At least, of course, maybe offline you can. Right? Like maybe offline in a perfect condition you can sway his heavy tiger shots, but now you really can't. And one hilarious thing about Sagat is that he, for some reason, his standing heavy kick beats all of Cody's normal. I actually want to show it to you guys. Like, let's duplicate this because there is something with my PC. Let's actually show you this. It is kind of hilarious, but I actually do want to show you this because it doesn't make any sense. But where is Sagat? Where is he? Where is Sagat? I can't see him on the screen. Oh yeah, alright. So let's say you are in this range, right? Like let's stand here. Like maybe somewhere like here. Right? So that is the idea, right? You want to do that against him, but you will find that many times it will actually beat you. I know that it doesn't seem to work now, but this actually happens so much. I could have sworn this actually beats Cody's crouching heavy punch. Maybe closer, right? It's high from a distance, but it starts. The first hit is a mid, right? So the first hit is a mid. Yeah. It is kind of finicky. But it's actually still kind of hard to whiff punish. So even if he whiffs it like that, notice that it is kind of hard to whiff punish actually. Right? He doesn't really have a hurt box in the lower side, right? You don't really get much here. So like even if he's whiffing it like that, you don't really get anything out of it, right? See, like you can't even whiff punish him for it. He can just do it. The best you can get is a sweep, and you're not really getting that much out of it, right? Sagat should 100% have a lower hitbox here. Like, you should be able to hit him out of this. I don't understand why this isn't a thing. And of course, he can just spam this shit 24/7. If he happens to land this once, and he gets the uppercut and does retarded damage, right? So it is really stupid. Like it's actually a really stupid move. So I do think his normals are actually pretty retarded. But the issue now, the biggest issue, is this. Right? Let's push him away a little bit. So like from here, let's try it one more time. It is actually very difficult. Like, if you are in this range where you're trying to whiff punish him, it's actually almost very difficult to Tiger Knee or to V-skill his fireballs. They are so fast now. And of course the EX knee is a worry. It is very difficult. I think the speed of the Tiger shots is the biggest factor as to why this is really hard now. So anyway, I do think Sagat is 4-6. Sakura, I would say, is 5-5. The best thing about Sakura is... I don't know. I mean, she does a lot of damage, but at the end of the day, she is kind of honest. I do feel like Cody does well against her. It is hard for her to deal with your fireball, so fireballs are really good against her. More often than not, I find that she's kind of struggle against them. A lot of times, Sakura players love to use their like they would love to charge their fireballs and kind of use that to approach you. And V trigger 2 is actually pretty good against that. And even then, even if she went back full screen, started charging her fireball, you can just EX tornado, and that will do well against her stuff. Her standing light kick leads to the medium uppercut, which is nice, but doesn't lead to Oki, so it is not that bad. Overall, I do think Sakura is 5-5, right? It is fair, it feels fair. Yeah, Muhammad, yeah. Anything, he punishes -4 really easily. I agree on that one. Urian, I say Urian is 4.5. Urian is not that bad. It is kind of hard, but I do think Cody holds his own versus Urian. The thing about Urian is a lot of Urian players, or a lot of Urian attacks and a lot of his moves are kind of forward moving. So a lot of Cody's buffers are really good versus Urian. Cody had good answers already to the knee and to the headbutt and all of that. So I don't know. And one thing that you kind of have to consider is that Sway is also really good versus Urian, right? So Sway is really good here. You can kind of use your EX Fireball. And now with Asia's being a little bit weaker, that is really good. Overall, I think Urian is fine. Maybe make it 5-5 in all honesty. I don't think Urian is bad now. I think Urian is fine overall. Bison is 3.5. This matchup this matchup is, oh my god. Like, you have to make the mother of all reads versus Bison constantly. Like, you constantly have to outplay Bison. It feels like your turn is never gonna come. You have to take massive risk, have to make massive reads. It's very hard to get out of his pressure stuff. Cody, the bad thing about Bison is that Cody doesn't have the back walk speed or the back dash that can help him versus Bison, right? Okay, sure, Carlos. So the rating here is, this is a Cody matchup chart. When you are saying something like 3-7 or 3-5 or 4-6, it means that if a Cody player played against, say, a Bison player 10 matches, right? A Cody versus Bison played 10 matches together. Both players are at the same skill level. Cody will win 3.5 and Bison will win 6.5. Like on average, you know? Like maybe Cody will win 4, Bison will win 6. Or the next time Cody will win 3, Bison will win 7. Which means that in this matchup, if the two players have the same skill, Bison is easier or more likely to win. It's easier for Bison to beat Cody than it is for Cody to beat Bison. That's pretty much it, right? So I do think that Bison is pretty difficult. Cody does kind of have some answer to his full screen approach bullshit, but the mid screen game is very difficult. The lack of backwards walk speed really hurt versus Bison. And there is something that I want to show you guys. It is kind of a stupid thing, but say, so you know how on hit the zonk is +3, right? So for example with Cody you will do something like this. Maybe you will shimmy your opponent and they will try to throw, because there is a reset here. So after the zonk you reset your opponent. Maybe you can go for a grab, or maybe you can go for a shimmy, right? It's like it's a very basic mix. Here's the funny thing. You cannot do this versus Bison. If he tried to throw, his throw range is so big that Cody can't back walk and shimmy Bison. So like this mix-up is useless versus Bison. Going for the zonk and then throwing, or going for the zonk and then shimmying, can't do that versus Bison. Like, he's the only character in the game where you cannot do that against him now. And it has been like that forever, which is kind of annoying, right? And even something funny. Let me show you something kind of funny. Let's beat Bison. I want to show you something hilarious, actually. It's like some small details that make the matchups very much harder than you would think, right? So let's, for example, here pick Cody, and our opponent is gonna be Bison, right? I find it actually very hard to shimmy Bison in general. This Cody, this poison, this costume is kind of cool. Is that Juri skin? They make me kind of want to play Juri, right? Alright. So actually check this out, right? Usually you can like jab someone and Jin shimmies him, right? The cool thing about Bison is that if you, like, for example, do a jumping, like, let's say you do a jumping heavy kick. So check this out, like, actually check this out, right? So I'm doing something on block and then I'm walking back, like this is a shimmy, right? If Cody does a jumping heavy kick, right? If you like do something like that, you can't walk out against Bison. You can jumping heavy punch, like if you're doing it proper, like for example from here, you can back walk out of his throw range. So that sucks, right? Like that really sucks. If you want to shimmy Bison, you have to use your jumping target combo. And even then you have to land it super deep and maybe you will be able to walk out of his throw range. So against Bison, what you want to do to shimmy him is you want to backdash. So you want to do something like this and then get a shimmy. And Bison is the only character in the game where that applies. And of course, like if you're backdashing on the pressure, that kind of sucks, right? Like you're giving away everything for real. Of course, then you would have to delay your pressure, but that's of course, you know, if he knows the matchup, he can just backdash. Isn't Alex orange for? Yeah. It also, I'm not sure if it applies to Alex. Let's actually check out an Alex. I know Bison because I played the Bison matchup a lot more, but let's actually check it out on Alex Yomart. Like you're right. Let's actually check it out on Alex. Where is Alex? But I think Alex throwable hitbox isn't as big as Bison. Like the real throw hitbox for Bison is longer. At least that's my understanding of it. Alright, let's check this out. No, you can walk out of it. So maybe this one. So you can walk after the standing heavy kick, but you can't walk after the target combo. Seems easier to walk out of Alex's throw range. Yeah, you can walk out of Alex. So anyways, let's get back to the chart. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying. Like there's so many small details that make Bison matchup a lot harder than it needs to be. Like having bad shimmies against him like that, like it's a lot harder than it needs to be in my opinion. Zangief I think now it's 6-4 actually for Cody. Before I would think it was 5-5. But I think now it's actually 6-4. I think it's actually now 6-4 for like the V shift helps a lot against Zangief. And he's very whiff punishable. Zangief is very whiff punishable. Cody does a ton of damage now. Cody doesn't really need to jump against Zangief at all, and the improved fireballs are really good. And one really cool thing about it is the medium kick Ruffian. So this is actually a big change for Cody. So one thing that's really cool now is that they really buffed the medium kick Ruffian, right? So if you do it from like the max range, like that, it can be spaced to be -4, right? So maybe from here, it is -4. And the best thing about this is that Gief can't really punish you for that, right? He can't really do that much. Some characters can punish this -4. Gief doesn't get the good lariat, right? And maybe if it's based even better. And Gief is even wider than Alex. Like you have to consider that Gief is even wider than Alex. So it is even easier to space on him. If he's crouching, it's gonna be even easier. Look at how far you can. Look at how far you can do this against him, right? So I think this is actually really good, especially versus Gief and Abigail. This is actually really good. So versus big bodies, medium kick Ruffian is quite abusable now. And again, like I said, like Gief can't really get good punishes on that one. His best option, honestly, here is to fish with an SBD. No, it's -4. It's -4, so it doesn't actually get punishes. Like you can jump it or backdash it. It have to be -5 for him to actually punish it. But if you backdash it, you can actually dash forward and punish him, right? Thank you very much, William. Thank you. Where we're at. Alright, so let's now check out Zeku. I feel like Zeku is 5-5 as well. I always felt like Cody does well versus Zeku. It feels like a fair fight. I think Cody does relatively well versus Zeku overall. He was one of the characters who always did well versus Zeku. Not that much have changed this season. Maybe young Zeku having a little bit of better answers, and the V-Shift helps young Zeku a little bit. Zeku is not really reliant on V-Shift, but it feels like a very fair fight, you know. I think Cody does relatively well overall. It is coming, William. I will be doing a how to fight Juri, for sure. Alright. Guile is 7-3, I think. This is Cody's easiest matchup, hands down. Sway almost breaks everything about Guile. You can sway almost everything he does, right? He is quite punishable. Now V-Shift actually ruins many of his things. I think Cody does well in the neutral as well. Cody is rewarded heavily in the neutral here. He doesn't really have good answers to Zonk. He doesn't really have a lot of answers to anything. Most of his strings are into fireballs, which you can easily sway and punish. Sway is very strong here. It is very strong. And many of his longer range, normal like his forward heavy kick, you can whiff punish. So I do think it's actually a really good matchup for Cody. It's easily his best matchup in my opinion. Next up is Honda. Honda I think is 6-4. So versus Honda, you have to fireball a lot. You have to sway. And if you're doing both of them, you can actually beat Honda with no problems. Fireball is very good versus Honda. Sway is very good against Honda. You can sway his headbutts. You can sway the butt slams. He will have hard time navigating your fireballs. He kinda have to rely on V-trigger, so EX Zonk is very strong against him. He doesn't really have good answers to cross up, not that much. He's kinda weak on pressure, kinda like Cody. So I do think that overall Cody wins the neutral hardcore. You kinda both of you share the same weaknesses, but I think Cody wins the neutral, right? So for that I do think like Honda, and you have very good answers to almost all of his approaches. So he is one of the characters that Cody beats well, I think. Lucia, I think, is 4-6. So this one might surprise some people, but I honestly think Lucia is a little bit difficult for Cody. Here's the thing about Lucia. I think she beats him in the neutral kinda bad. Her fireball zoning is annoying for him to deal with. She can bypass his own fireballs easily. Her pressure is really strong against characters who don't have a 3 frame. Of course he doesn't. She does a lot of damage now. She outspeeds. I actually play both. I play both. I play this matchup from both sides as well. So it is really good. It's kind of difficult for Cody. I think it's winnable, especially again. You kind of have. You will have to outplay your opponent in the neutral, and you kind of have to V-trigger to them, right? I don't think there is that much more to it. I don't need to comment on that one. That matchup is... Pick someone else. Let's actually change this 3-7. That's it. That is it. I play poison. Like I also main poison. Make someone else. Don't even bother. Like these two matchups, don't even bother playing them. Don't even bother. These two matchups are almost unwinnable. I would actually, if I know that I can really get roasted and everything, and if Cody didn't have his V-Trigger 2 robbery factor, these two would have been 2-8s, in my opinion. Especially Poison. Like, at least versus Dhalsim, it is harder to get in on Dhalsim than it is to get in on Poison. But he kinda has the V-Skill, you kinda have the Sway, so you have some options against his defense. You don't have anything against Poison. Like, she bullies Cody. Like, she bullies Cody. Oh, thank you, Hyder. Thank you very much. Hello. Poison bullies Cody. It is just a hilarious matchup. Like, you have to take so many risks against Poison and hope for the best. Seth might be controversial, but 6-4. I think Cody does very well versus Seth, actually. Again, Seth is a character, yes, you have to use V-Skill 1 and V-Trigger 1. Right? Now with V, I would have used V-Skill 2 before, but now with V-Shift, I would use V-Skill 1 and V-Trigger 1. V-Skill 1 is very strong against his axe kicks, right? You can really use it easily against his axe kicks. You can V-Shift his Tatsus, you can V-Shift a lot of his stuff. Cody does a ton of damage. I think after the nerfs especially, I will actually say it is 6-4. Before the patch, I think it was 5-5, but now I think it's 6-4 in Cody's favor. Then I also think it's 6-4. Yeah, Shadrin, yeah, like that's what I was saying. I think now it's honestly in Cody's favor. So I do think that now this matchup is a lot more manageable, especially after the nerfs. And for Dan, I think that Dan is kind of easily whiff punishable, but you kind of have to fireball zone Dan. Like you can't play the, you cannot play a, you don't really want to play the mid range against him. You want to frustrate him with zoning. Like I showed earlier, the medium kick Ruffian is very good against him. Fireballs are kinda annoying for him. EX Zonk is pretty good. So in all honesty, I do think Dan is fine for Cody. Like Cody handles Dan really well. Sway is also very good against his Tatsu stuff. Like you can sway his Tatsu on reaction and get punishes on him. So overall, I think this is how it is looking now for Cody. It's an interesting matchup short. The issue with Cody. Okay, Haidar, like let me just finish this, and I will comment on the coaching thing. I do a lot of replay analysis, and we have a Discord server. Let me leave the link below. So this is the Discord link. Like you can check it out. I like you can send me your replays. You can send me your replays. I'm gonna check it out. Tell you like what you can do, what you can't do, and stuff like that. And we can check it out. Overall, the issue with Cody. Here's my biggest problem with Cody in general. These two are very commonly used tournament characters, right? Like Bison and Guile are very commonly used tournament character. Poison is kinda common. And for that, I do think it's kind of difficult, right? Like these three characters are very common in tournament play, and especially on rank. Like if you're using rank Street Fighter 5, you're gonna fight these two assholes all the time, and it's just annoying, right? And especially Ryu as well. Ryu is very common now, so it's like a lot of the very common characters are very hard matchups for him. The only common characters that he beats are Ken, which is nice, Kage, which is nice, maybe Honda and Thess, which is like, I mean that's okay, but losing to Ryu, you know, there's a lot that's actually that he struggles here. I think struggling against many of the common characters is an issue. But what do you guys think? Like overall, if you use Cody, let me know what are your opinions on this. I wanna quickly also do a Poison matchup short. But let me actually think, what do you think about this if you use Cody? Like, do you have any comments on the overall ranking? Going even versus Cammy is pretty good. Like, yeah, I agree with that. You know what? The thing about Cody as well is that he's a really good character to surprise people with. You barely fight Bison? PhD, how are you barely fighting Bison? Like, he's Bison. Like, half of the players online play Bison. Why is Guile free? Guile is free because of Cody's V-Skill 2. Cody's V-Skill 2 almost destroy Guile's entire game plan. So it's like almost everything Guile does gets beat by Cody. Like all of his block strings are into Fireball. Cody can sway that. He doesn't really have good answers to Cody's stuff himself. Cody gets a lot more on wave punishes. He kinda needs to do retribution, but to set it up he needs to hit you with an EX Fireball, which is pretty difficult because Cody can sway. If you don't jump, you should be able to beat Guile with no issues. Guile is about harmony, yeah. Okay, so let's duplicate this one first. And let's actually change the names. Again, 7-3. 6-4, 5-5, 4-6, and 3-7. Add another one below. Right, so this is now are you in Algeria, Muhammad? You told me you're in Algeria, right? There's actually a lot of streets. Okay, I'll actually share with you a. Muhammad, let me share with you if there's a huge Street Fighter player base in Algeria. check this out. That is their Facebook page. Check this out, you'll find a lot of players. I actually playing in a tournament recently, and it was versus a lot of the Algerians. Like, let's actually even look at this. Like, it was this tournament, and the players I was playing against, that guy was from Algeria. There was a lot of players actually. Like, let me show you this. Just give me a sec. So it's like we did this 32-man bracket tournament, and that was it. You'll find that there was a lot. Like, as you see, these were players from Egypt, Morocco, and Algeria, and like we filled the 32 brackets. Yeah, it was really fun. There was a lot of stuff going on here. Sadly, I got 5th. I made it to top 8, but then went 0-2, so that kind of sucks. But what you gotta do? But as you can see, there's a lot of competitors here, and these are the guys who just play in tournament. But check out the Facebook page; you will find a lot of players here. Anyways, let's start with the poison matchup short. I'm gonna start with Abigail. Abigail is 4-6. This matchup sucks. I hate playing Abigail as poison. Too much armor. The armor, like there's very little that you can do, and he can armor through most of your block strings, right? Like, he can armor most of your block strings. He can run through so many things. He can be very obnoxious. It's an obnoxious matchup, I think. The armor alone just makes it really difficult. So for example, like, let me show you this. It feels like you are never safe versus Abigail. Like, you can do the stuff that poison really can't wanna do. So for example, I'm gonna pick Abigail. Let's actually pick a poison. You wanna see the Ivy out? I feel like this one is kinda too... the Ivy skin is too unsafe for YouTube. So like, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna go with the default, right? Yeah, that's too hot for TV. Yeah, that's not gonna fly. So the issue here is the issues with Abigail. So let's say you do a block string like that one, for example, right? Like, you might want to do something like that, which is it's like very common, right? And you get wrecked, right? Like, this is the biggest issue. And once that happens, you're pretty much gone, right? Or you can even just EX Abigail bunch. So it's like, the armor is an issue, and even in the neutral, he can just armor through most of your stuff. So you're never safe in block strings against him. You're never safe. Like, he have way too much armor, and his armor will lead to way too much damage. So I don't know. I hate it, to be honest. Even it's 5-5, it's very unstable. So I do think it's 4-6. Alex, I think, is a 5-5. I think the Alex matchup is fine. It is mostly fine. There's not that much that there is to it. It is kind of obnoxious because you kind of have to worry a little bit. How do you do normal go against armor? That is the issue, Lane. Like, there's not much that you can do. Like, so here's the thing about Abigail. Like the idea is you need to see him. Like the only answer you have is this. Like that's it. So you should do the attack into this, but it's very unreliable. You don't get okay. You kind of have to read it. It's hard. Like like even in the neutral, one YOLO running attack, and even like let's say you are jumping and like let's say you do something like this, right? He doesn't care. With multiple hits of armor, he literally doesn't care. And that is the issue with this matchup, is like the stupid play by Abigail is rewarded so much. Like the EX run, and then he gets to activate V-Trigger, and you die pretty much, right? Of course, when you get knocked down, you kind of have to guess now. It's sucks. It really sucks. I don't know. I hate playing that matchup, to be honest. Like you have to be, like you have to play so on point, and it's actually kind of hilarious as well. I mean, you can use it, like, but it is pretty difficult. It is pretty difficult. It is still kind of slow, so it's like it can work versus his run, but I'm not sure if it will work versus the EX Abigail punches, right? And the other issue is the other issue with poison in this matchup is you don't have an answer to the tire. Like you will actually be surprised how hard this is to deal with. Like I know it looks stupid, but this is actually incredibly difficult for poison to deal with. You can't punish him here. You can't really do much. Even if you use, like, even if poison here try to use her EX Love Me Tender, he can armor through because he have his armor. The EX one, yes, you will hit him, but the tire will hit you, and depending on if he had done a punch or not. If he's doing the EX run, you don't get that much. It's just like so much armor. He have way too much armor, and that's what I don't understand about Abigail. I know, like, this is like we are kind of segueing into an Abigail rant here, but I despise how this character is designed. Like, he have all the benefits of a big body, but none of the weaknesses. Insane range on everything, insane damage output, insane HP. Oh my god. Like, you would think the poison beats him, right? But that's actually not the case. You would think that Minat beat him. Not the case. I even saw Daigo. Like, I'm not saying about random Joe from the street. Daigo Omihara, the best Guile in the world, said that Abigail beats Guile. Abigail beats Guile. I don't think I can comment on anything past that. Yeah. Anyways, Blanca's obnoxious. I would say it's 5-5, but you funny enough, Lane, you were saying that because we just said like Cody actually beats Abigail. Cody's actually really good versus Abigail. Blanca is, I do think Blanca is 5-5. It can be hard, but there are some tricks that you need to know here. So for example, let's actually show it to you guys. I just want to show you, like, this is really important. If you're playing poison and you're using fighting against if you're using poison and you're fighting against Blanca, this is important to know. Let's do this. This is a cool mod. Blanca is about robbery, but if you know the matchup, you can actually deal with him fairly well. So here's the thing. Here is a very important tip. If you're using poison and you are fighting against Blanca, this is very important to know. So now let's actually record him doing that. Alright. I just want to reset it so that, right, so you typically can't really punish this, right? If you are mid-screen, you don't get to punish. Right, he gets to block. Notice that? He gets to block, right? The best way to punish this is to stand and block the Blanca ball. If you block the light Blanca ball, even from max range, you're gonna punish him for it every single time. So actually, stand block the Blanca ball and then do the medium heart rate. The medium EX heart rate. And this is punish every time. Blanca players love to do shit like that. That is the light ball, yeah. So Blanca love doing stuff like that, of course. And you'll find that the EX heavy heart rate is very good versus that stuff. Especially if you're a little bit closer. Let's actually move a little bit closer here. So it's like from mid screen, you can always do that. Even when he does the EX one. Right? So even against that one, which is kind of obnoxious, the EX rate is actually really, really good. It's very important to do this. If you know how to do both of that, you should have a lot of easier time versus Blanca. So it's like Blanca can be annoying, but you have reactionary answer. Like if Poison didn't have that, I would say this matchup would have been difficult. But the presence of the heavy EX rate actually makes it really, really tolerable. So Blanca's 5-5. Let's duplicate it. I don't understand why it's kind of stuck. No. Let's get Poison here. Birdie, your reaction speed is not fast enough for that. Maybe try to V-shift it then. Maybe try to V-shift it, Lin. Birdie, I believe, is... I think Birdie is 5-5. He does have some sort of armor, but I do think Poison holds herself well in the neutral. And the only thing you kind of have to worry about when you're fighting Birdie is random EX bull hits. She doesn't really have a good punish for them, but... I mean, what's she gonna do, right? But otherwise, I do think it's actually... it is good enough for Poison. I don't think it's bad at all. Balrog, I think, is... So here's the thing. I think Poison versus Balrog is 5-5. I know many players actually don't agree with this. But Balrog, I believe like she can zone him fairly well. Like to a certain extent, you can zone him. The thing about Balrog, so here's the thing. Here's what I want to say. For example, if Blanca is jumping, like say 1, 2, and then a Blanca ball, right? So let's say Blanca is doing this, right? It's hard for you for your whip to hit him. It's hard to hit him with the whip, right? Even if I'm really far, he hits the whip and Blanca wins, right? But the thing about Balrog is that his dash punches, because it's grounded, you actually hit him out of that. And another thing, let's actually show Balrog, since I think many players might have. No, it's not. I think it's 5-5. No, honestly. Let's pick a different skin. We kind of have to mix it up, right? Let's pick the Legion. The Legion is cool. So here's the thing about Balrog. Like, remember what I just showed you? Right, like for example, if he's doing that, like notice this, Blanca was beating the Blanca ball, right? But with Balrog, if you actually time it, you actually hit him out of it. Like Balrog is hittable by the whip, and that is a big difference. Like Blanca can just bully his way in, while Balrog, if you actually time it, he gets hit. Right? So just being able to hit him out of the dash punch is really big. Also against his dash punches, you will find that crouching medium kick is actually really nice here. This normal is actually pretty good at checking his dash punches. If you do it preemptively and time it right, you can kinda... It is decent at stopping that, right? Yeah, and of course the -4 is punishable. Even on a V shift, she does have good range, so she does get reliable punishes. So overall, I do think it's actually, it is evenish, right? Like Balrog have to play the ground game. He doesn't really have a special jumping. And one thing that's actually very important against Balrog, right? Balrog does not have a cross-up. So what this means is that the crouching medium punch nerf, this does not matter versus Balrog. It has zero effect in this matchup. So overall, I think it's 5-5. I genuinely think Balrog is 5-5. I know it might be a little bit difficult. Balrog is a knowledge shake character. If you know him well, you can deal with him. But overall, I think it's 5-5. I use V-Trigger 1. Vega. I mean, they rarely jump in, but he kind of have to jump in against poison because he either have to dash punch or just jump in. But I don't know. Yeah, the -4 dash punch is kind of stupid, but what are you gonna do about it? It sucks, man. Vega is weird. I think Vega, you just have to be really patient when you are fighting against Vega. I think in the neutral, Poison does really well against him. His pressure is kind of annoying, but you can deal with it. His air approach can be kind of difficult, and the crouching medium punch nerf hurt against Vega. You have a hard jump to anti-air. But overall, I think she still does fine against him. This is actually... Right. Cody is 7-3 in my opinion. I think this matchup is very easy. It's very easy for Poison. Maybe because I also use Cody myself and I know the character really well. So actually, again, let me show you something. It's kind of hilarious actually. But let's check it out. So this is give me a sec. Yeah, so this is it, right? This was like a matchup versus a Cody, and the thing about Cody is his EX Zonk, while it's really obnoxious attack, it's the hitbox on the front is really easy to stuff, right? So I was just mashing jab because I knew he was gonna EX Zonk, right? Check this out again. I was just mashing jabs because I knew he was gonna EX Zonk, and there's nothing he can do about it. So it is kind of difficult for Cody in all honesty. So, and I think we kind of explained it in the Cody matchup, the Cody matchup side. So I don't think I need to go through it again. Cammy is Cammy is 3-4. Cammy is 3-7. Cammy is very, very, very difficult. Cammy is very difficult with poison. You have to hope for the best. You have to hope for the best on that one. There is honestly not. It's very difficult to anti-air Cammy. The saving grace, what makes this matchup kinda playable, is the fact that Cammy have low HP. But the thing is, Poison used to do retarded damage output. Now her damage output is decent, but it's not super high. So your damage output helped you a lot in matchups like Cammy. But now without that damage, it is very difficult. It's very, very difficult. I'm sorry, Ross, if you're gonna see this, and I know that you're not gonna agree, but I play both characters. I played it from both sides. I know this will trigger so many Chun-Li players, but I played, like, I have to again say this. I played this matchup from both sides. I played it as Poison, and I played it as Cody. I main Poison, I main Cody. I main as the Chun-Li. I know what it feels like to be on both ends of the spectrum, right? And while I do think that it might be like 5.5 for like slightly easier on the Poison side, Chun-Li is still very good against Poison. She's one of the few characters who can completely shut down some of Poison's options. Once Chun-Li have super, like 3/4 of Poison's moveset cannot be used anymore. And that is very, very powerful. Dulcim is 6-4-6. Dulcim also is very hard for Poison. I feel like he is a challenging character to fight against. The issue with Dulcim is that Poison needs to get in on Dulcim. She doesn't have a full screen presence while he does, and he have much better ways of forcing the issues. Like he can do a fireball into teleport, or like EX fireball into teleport. These kind of approaches allow him to kind of force his way in, while Poison have to close the distance. There is one thing that I want to show you guys. Like if you're using Poison and you are struggling against Dulcim, just gonna be a small tip. You might find it helpful, but that's pretty much it. So let's actually check it out. Since people seem to like the Michelle Pfeiffer, let's actually give them the Michelle Pfeiffer. So let's actually do this, right? So this is actually really good versus Dulcim, right? If you're using Poison, he can't really spam his Zoni normals here. You can use your Light. I would use the Light. The Light is the best one, but you can get away with the Medium as well. Like on some timings you can get away with the Medium, but it's not very consistent. But the Light should be very reliable here. So that should help you a little bit. The Heavy is also kind of nice. So either use the Light or the Heavy. This might help you when you're fighting against Dulcim, but again, if he does the Fireball, if he doesn't do anything, you can get punished. This is a read. But it is an option. Like, know that it is an option. So if you're using Poison and you're fighting against Dulcim, if you're using Dulcim and if you're using Poison and fighting against Dulcim, know that this is an option. It's not a fantastic one, but it is there. Ed, I feel, is 5-5. Poison can kinda control the neutral fairly well versus Ed. But I feel like his... damn it. Let me show it to you guys. because this also kind of sucks. But I do want to show it to you. I want to show it to you why I think Ed is kind of more difficult for poison than you would imagine. Let me actually pick Ed here. I hope that no Ed players are watching this because I really don't want to give this one away. But so let's say that poison is doing this, right? Very typical, very standard, right? Here is the issue. So with everything, if you think that if she beats him in the neutral or whatever, him actually getting combo punishes on that, that is a very big deal. Like I can't actually, and even let me show you something because I know it's actually kind of difficult as well. Even if she does something like this, right? He still get punches. So even that gets punished as well. So while I do think she wins in the neutral, he have some very hard answers. Like he have some very hard answers to her stuff. Like if he gets a read, he gets full combos, and I mean like let's check out like a basic 8 combo now. Like for example, if he does like a basic combo, something like this. Oh, I gotta change my button configuration. So it's like something, right? Like that's 260 damage. That's a lot of damage, man. He does so much damage now. This character is very strong. I actually think it is really powerful now. But yeah, he have very powerful answers to poison. If you play poison, yeah, don't ever show this to anyone. I didn't show it to you guys. If you play Ed, please don't use it against any fellow poisons. This is a forbidden tech. We don't want this to get out. F.A.N.G I think is 5-5 as well. He can kind of get some of the same punishes. He just doesn't punish as hard. And one of the better things about F.A.N.G is the EX Love Me Tender is actually really good against him. And even if he's doing his zoning stuff, you can get a lot of punishes here. So that is very good. There's not really that much to say about F.A.N.G in all honesty. It's just that his zoning is kind of course you can kind of struggle against his pressure, but poison does have a 3 frame, so that is pretty nice. And when he's zoning, you can just EX Love Me Tender or even like medium punch rate. You will out damage most of his stuff, so that's good. Falke is 6-4. This match, I feel like both characters have kind of a same game plan, but Poison dominates the neutral in my opinion. Poison's options, control options are better, and she have a lot better offense. Falke is better on defense, but it's you know, Poison is kind of a hard character to wave punish in general. Poison, the EX heavy heart rate is very good against her jumping stuff, even her jumping shots. And on read, you can actually do a lot against her air shots. So it's like, let me show you the tech. Why not? I feel like it will be a little bit better to explain stuff when you can see it, right? So the whole jumping gunshot thing, it's kind of obnoxious, right? Like this is the pain of existence of many characters, right? But the thing about poison is, if you have a read on it, you can actually EX Lovely Tender and you still get a punish. EX Heart Rate from some angles will get this. And you can even like nude forward jump and heavy punch, and if timed right, you can still get the grounded punish. So that's very, very good, right? And even then, just having the option to always do that is very good. Like, let's say even if we traded, she's doing 90 damage, while poison is doing like 140. That will be a counter hit as well. If you have a read, you can even V-skill. And V-skill will allow you to cross the distance really fast. So poison does have really good answers here. Right? Yeah, V-skill 2 is very good here. There's a lot of stuff that you can do versus Falke that's very good. It's kind of hard for her to punish your crouching heavy punch. If you happen to block her standing heavy punch, like if you happen to block this even from maximum range, that's a reversal super. So poison, I think poison does decisively win this matchup. I think it's very, very good for her. So Falke is good. Who else? G is next, and I think G is 6'4" as well, and I think poison does really well in the neutral against G. I think poison does really well in the neutral against G. There is something I want to show to you guys regarding G, because I know that there was a lot of talks, or many poison players might struggle when they're fighting against G. Like they don't know how to stop G from leveling up from a distance, right? Let's just check out. Let's use another costume now. So the thing about G is that she does really well from the range that he's supposed to be good at. But here's the thing, many poison players may not know what to do against that, right? Because poison's attack really doesn't knock down. Like you might crouching heavy punch him, right? Maybe medium raid, but you don't really get a knockdown, right? So you can't effectively stop him. And I want to see if I can get it to block after that, right? So if you try to shake him like that, you don't really get a knockdown. If you try to use your Love Me Tender, he gets to block. So the trick here is to use V-skill 2. Even from like maximum range, you should be able to get V-skill 2 here. I would say about like 80% of the screen range, you should be able to get V-skill 2. So when you see G doing that, just V-skill 2. You will be surprised how far you can get this from. So again, a small tip if you are using poison and fighting against G. Hopefully you will find it useful. I know this one is not very common. Not that many players know about this one. But it is pretty important to utilize. Of course, the biggest worry with G is his comeback robbery. But it is, it's slightly reduced this season. I think it's not as strong as it used to be. Next up is Akuma. I think Akuma is 5'5". The thing about Akuma, I do think Poisons beat him in the neutral, but his comeback factor and damage and demon flip and jump mix-ups are all still really, really strong. Like it's still very hard to. I don't think you can ever have no reversal and no ways to reliably anti-air cross-ups and have a good matchup versus Akuma. I think again it is really difficult. Guile is 4'6" still. I think Guile dominates the neutral against Poison. His neutral is way too strong. He's one of the characters who have the easier time with punishing her. He controls the pace of the match. His offense is actually really hard to deal with. His booms are still really hard to deal with. So overall, I do think Guile is a hard matchup. Ibuki is a 3-7. Ibuki is a 3-7. EX Kunai. EX Kunai destroys poison. That is the biggest issue. It's like that move destroys the entire game plan because Ibuki can very easily bully her way in, and you have to make very hard reads to just stand a chance against Ibuki. Once she gets in on your face, it's very hard to get out, to get her off of you. It is very difficult. I found it to be really hard actually. Absolutely one of her worst matchups. Juri I think is 6-4. I think Poison does fairly well against Juri. And one of the better things about Juri, let me show it to you guys. One of the best things about Juri is that usually Juri likes to control with the light fireball, right? But the medium raid is very good versus that fireball.
Let me hear your sweet scream.
So for example, against that stuff, right? So many characters struggle against that, but the thing about Poison is that medium raid is actually very good. Like you are hella winning that raid, right? And one really good thing about it is that you also have the Love Me Tender. This is actually a very good tool against this as well, right? So that is very good. Like both of these tools makes Poison have a lot of easier time against Juri, right? I think these two combined, these two kinda give her a lot of neutral control. Juri loves to do a lot of dashing, and she then will have to rely a lot on jumps, which then you can anti-air. A lot of back and forth, but I think she controls the neutral, and Poison's pressure isn't that scary, you know. Ken is 6-4. Again, she beats him heavily in the neutral. It's all gonna come down to your defense once you get knocked down. It can be kind of hard versus Ken sometimes, but if you're careful, I think you can do well against Ken. It's an obnoxious matchup. It's a matchup that you wouldn't want to play, but I do think that it is not bad. I think that Poison does fairly well. She handles him fairly well. This one is might be a little bit controversial. I do believe that Kage is the Shoto that give Poison the hardest time. Yeah, in many ways, Ken is a reaction test. Yeah, I guess I can agree with that. But many of his stuff is kind of really not like. The thing about Ken is that his offense is really strong, but it's not as good as it seems, right? Like there's a lot of he have to take so many risks. Poison does a lot of damage. You can kind of stall him, you can kind of survive him. It's gonna be how good are you against his offense. If you can handle your own there, I think you will do well. Kage, on the other hand, I hate this matchup. The issue with Kage is I feel like he's the hardest Shoto to fight. Simply because of his approach options. Kage can play super Unga, and once he get in, it can be really hard to challenge him. His dive kick is particularly annoying in this matchup. He gets rewarded heavily for it. His damage output is crazy high. His defense is actually really good. He have a low jump arc, so it's kind of hard to anti-air. I don't know. I still think it's 5-5, but if I had to say, what is the other one? Like my opinion is that she beats Ryu and Ken. Akuma is easier than Kage. Like that is honestly my feelings on this matchup. And with that, let's actually talk about Ryu. I still think Poison beats Ryu actually. She controls the pace of the match, I think, and she wins the neutral versus Ryu. It is not as like before. Maybe it was a little bit easier than it is now. So maybe Ryu is like 5.5. Like let's add a row below, and this one will be like 5.5. I guess I can put Ryu and Ken in 5.5. I think she slightly does well against them, better than these guys, but I don't think she beats them as much as she beats the ones above. But I think Ryu and Ken are easier than Akuma and Kage. Especially Kage. Kage is the hardest one for me. Kolin, I also think is 5.5. Poison control. Hey Alexander. This is a poison matchup short we're doing now. Kolin, I think Poison controls the neutral really well versus Kolin. You kind of have to worry about the V-skill 1 a little bit. But otherwise, I think she does fairly well. Kolin's damage output is really high. Thank goodness her V-trigger actually got nerfed. Like the previous season, this would be 5.5. But before, Kolin would have been 5.5. But before, I think it's 5.5. And now I really think it's 5.5. And the same for Karen actually. Karen also I think is 5.5. I think it's slightly in Poison's favor, but not heavily. Karen still can Rex you once she knocks you down. She have very oppressive pressure. It's gonna be a lot about how much you can survive. Like these four characters are very similar. Poison wins in neutral, but they have oppressive pressure and high damage output and good corner trapping, and can you survive that or not? Right? It's just gonna be that. Do you have to send your CFN? Just send the replay ID and I'll check it out. So you don't have to send the CFN itself. If you're checking the replay, you will find the replay ID. It should be like a combination of numbers and letters, and just type that and I will check it out. Laura, I think is 6.4. Again, wins in neutral. Poison can keep her out really well. But the issue with Laura is once she's in, it can be very hard to escape. She's kind of like G in that regard. Like you can easily win it, but they can come back on you heavily, which makes it kind of uncomfortable. Like even if you're winning on paper, it is pretty difficult. Minat, I think is 5.5. I played Poison versus Minat a fair bit more than Poison versus Cody. I think both of them. I think the matchup is kind of obnoxious, but both of them have the tools to fight against each other. But you kind of have to play a rush down Poison versus Minat, right? Like you kind of have to play a rush down version of Poison, which is not that optimal, but what are you gonna do? But I do think actually Poison have the tools to play a rush down style game against Minat. Nicoli's slight advantage, I would say, 5.5. Again, Poison out neutrals him. His comeback factor is you struggle so much versus Minat. From my experience, you wanna save your V gauge for her V trigger 1, right? And V trigger 1 is the biggest issue in the matchup, so save your V gauge at that. Your jab and standing medium punch are very good against her drills. Use a lot of heavy kick, love me tender. I find it very good versus Minat. Use a lot of crouching heavy punch if she's trying to walk backwards. You kind of have to be a little bit patient here. Even if she's recalling the orb, most of them just like to walk forward. So EX Love Me Tender I found to be really good in this situation. If she's doing the orb toss in Inu block string, you can EX Love Me Tender. There are some options that you can do. I think it's even, in all honesty. I don't know that bad. Now this one might surprise some people, and it is my personal opinion. I know he's not that good of a character. Like I know that he is not very strong, but I struggle heavily versus Nash. Like this is one of my hardest matchups with Poison actually. The neutral is so erratic. Like the Nash neutral is so erratic. Poison does not simply have the speed or the play style to force Nash to stay still, right? Like you kind of have to play it in a way where you hope to like knock him down and hope for the best. But I think he heavily wins in neutral. Like if Nash is playing the erratic runaway 24/7 back and forth style, I find it very difficult. I find it very difficult to deal with. I think it's really obnoxious. No, Slab. I genuinely think Nash is one of the worst matchups. I struggle against it so much. Armika. I think Armika is between 3-7 and 4-6. I'm not sure. Like it's certainly a bad matchup, but the V shift is actually helping a lot against. Yeah, exactly. His forward heavy punch is also really obnoxious. You don't really have a good punch to the medium kick Sonic Psych. His bazooka knee is very hard to deal with. The even the V-Trigger 2 stuff is kind of obnoxious and you don't really have good answers for it. You can't really rush him down now because of V-shifts. He has a 3 frame, so the EX heart rate mix-ups are not as strong. A lot of his moonsault stuff, if you happen to block it, leaves him at a very close range. I don't like it. I don't like it. Mika, on the other hand, I don't know. Like, Mika, previous season, Mika would be 3-7. But I think now, because Mika's pressure is a lot weaker, and with how good V-Shift is against her V-Triggers, I think it is 4-6 now. I still think Mika can have so many ways to get in, kinda in a YOLO way. But, I don't know. Overall, I think it's kinda hard. Rashid, I'm conflicted on Rashid, but I genuinely think Rashid is probably 5-5. Rashid is a hard 5-5, but I think she fights him. The thing about Rashid is you really need to use your standing light kick well to shake his stuff. His anti-air can be hard to deal with, but his jumping medium kick loses a lot to our jumping medium punch. Jump back medium punch is very good against it. And in the neutral, you want to walk back and hopefully with punish a mixer or a crouching heavy punch with your standing heavy punch. Standing heavy punch is practically good here, but you can get jumped on, so there is some risk. If it is a 5-5, it is the hardest possible 5-5, but I honestly think she fights him. Sagat is 5-5 as well. Previous season, Sagat would have been a 6-4. Now, again, thanks to the Tiger shots, again, it is a 5-5 now. Especially, this one is good for different reasons, and let me show it to you. There is something that's kind of obnoxious about it. So the Cody one was kind of hard because of the Tiger knees. The Sagat one now is more difficult because of the Tiger shots and the it's like the new Tiger knees and Tiger shots. So for example, let's hear Big Poison. So here is the issue. Let's make her crouch. Alright. So here is the issue. His light punch, the slow Tiger shot, stays on the screen forever. And because this is on the screen for so long, he practically gets to do this, right? This is practically safe now. You will have to block it, right? If you're not in range to punish it like that, you're gonna have to walk forward, and it will be hard to get a punish on him, right? And once he has that, his tiger knees becomes retarded, right? Like this is now a free get in. Right, like he can do that now, and then he's gonna have that. right? And just completely bypass your neutral. So that change, along with the change to his Tiger shot speed, makes this matchup very difficult. I wouldn't say very difficult. I would say this was a winning matchup, but no slap. Here's the issue. The issue is you're gonna have to crouch the slow Tiger shots, right? Or you're gonna have to EX Love Me Tender. But if you can crouch it, here's the thing. The hitbox is really wide, so it's like actually crouching like that and trying to move in. See, like that's actually really hard to navigate. That's giving him a lot of time to charge the V skill, and when he charges the V skill, he can pretty much Tiger Knee. And even if I block this one, like let's check it out. Right, this with 0, he can space it to be even plus. So it is really hard. It is actually really hard. The light high Tiger shot is extremely obnoxious in this matchup. Of course, if you are a little bit closer, so if you're from this range, you can punish him. So you want to maintain a distance like that, but you are further away like here, he got the charge. Right? He doesn't have to commit, he can block that one. So let's actually try to do this again. Let's do it one more time. Yeah. You're gonna have to factor in reaction time as well, but generally his V skill recovers faster than G's. G's power up have longer recovery. But I think Sagat doesn't have to do the full animation. He can cancel it. Not really sure how, since I don't play Sagat myself. But from my experience and from trying this out in matches, I wasn't successful with doing that. Oh, hey, New, what's up? But yeah, I think for that reason, Sagat is 5-5. If you can maintain the range where you can't let him do that, it is doable. But it's a lot more competitive now than it used to be. This one, some people might not like it. Yeah, exactly, Slab. Exactly. Some people may not agree with this. I find Sakura to be quite difficult, actually, for Poison. The reason that Sakura is quite difficult now, I think she always was kind of difficult, but the thing about Sakura is that she's one of the characters who have the easiest time walking you down. Like her walk speed is so fast. Hello chicken. So 7-3 means that if two, like say this is a poison matchup short, right? If you are using poison and you are fighting against a Cody. If Poison Blade against Cody 10 times, both players are of the same skill level, Poison player will win 7 games out of the 10 games, and Cody will win 3. So in the matchup, Cody or Poison is more likely to win. And on the other hand, Poison is more likely to lose against Cammy and Ibuki, for example. So I don't know if Sakura is me not having like good matchup knowledge, or if it is really hard, but it is one of the ones that I struggle against the most. This one is gonna be controversial because I know so many people struggle against Urien. I hate the character myself, but from my personal experience, I think this is a 5-5. I will actually say that for me, Urien is easier than Ed, F.A.N.G, Akuma, Kage. He's easier than this bunch. And maybe I know how to fight Urien. I genuinely do have good results against Urien. But I find that Poison can contain Urien to a certain degree. Her anti-airs are reliable enough against his knee stuff. He does have his Onga, but if you can shake the dashes, you can do well against him. His Aegis Reflector took a big hit thanks to V-Shift. So I think actually Urian is fine in my opinion, and your Love Me Tender is good against his fireballs. So I think Urian is 5/5. I know this might be controversial again, but yeah. M Bison M Bison is 3-7 matchup. This matchup is very difficult. This matchup is actually very difficult. It is very difficult to play. Simply put, but the range that Poison is playing again, is the range that you wanna play as you wanna use as Poison. From that range, Bison is the best character in the game. He dominates the mid range so much, and he has so many ways to approach. It is very difficult, and for some reason, his scissors go over your crouching heavy punch. So this is not a good tool against Bison. So I don't know. Bison you have to take so many risks when you're fighting against Bison. I feel like he's a matchup where you have to take so many risks. You can't really I don't know. I struggle a lot versus Bison with Poison. And speaking of which tier would you put Sagat in? I think maybe we can do a tier list another day, but I think he's very strong. I actually think Sagat is high tier. I think Sagat is high tier. I don't think he's top tier, but he fights almost all of the top tiers really well. I think Sagat is honestly gonna be very dominant this season. I think he's a very good character. Like if we say, like if this was a tier list and I had this at S, and this is like at A, I would put Sagat in the A tier. I think it's very strong. And there are so many characters you would put in S, like for example, you would put like say, might put, but Balrog is kind of difficult, but I think he's A, I don't think he's S still. But you would have character in S tier like say, Cammy, he fights Cammy well, he fights Akuma well, he fights Urian well. He might lose to Rashid, but it's not a big deal. He fights Guile. Like these are all very common and very good characters in tournaments, and he fights all of them really well. So for that, I think Sagat just is very good. Like he's undeniably good. Yeah, he doesn't rely on V-Trigger himself. Yeah. This one, the next one might get me flamed, and I'm sorry if I say this. I'm sorry. I suck in the matchup. You have to understand that this is my own personal experiences. God knows I tried. Because I know this will trigger some people. Zangief is such an obnoxious matchup because of his damn retarded V-Skill 2. His V-Skill 2 is the most obnoxious move in the game for me. It's like a mini game. The Zangief matchup is a mini game, very much, right? So for example, this matchup is the most obnoxious matchup in the game for me. Like I don't run back Zangiefs when I'm using poison. So let's check this out. Let me show you why it's such an obnoxious matchup. So for example, because of this. Simply this. Right? So here's the thing. Let's say you got hit, right? Let's say you got hit. On hit, he is +3, right? So on just +3, you either get SBD'd, If you try to jump, for example, or try to like backdash, you get crush countered. Let's say you block it and you try to use your standing light kick. Right? Because there is some beauty to this bullshit. So for example, like from here, right? If I just don't mess up my SBDs. What are you gonna do, huh? What are you actually gonna do? And let's say you try to backdash here. Because there is like it's a mind game. Like he is playing a -4 mind game on you, right? Like it's hilarious that he's actually this is a legit mind game. Right? So from this range you might be able to escape, right? But if he reads you, he gets a dash SBD. Like let's say that you try to jump, you get hit by this. Right, he gets a knockdown. Now you kind of have to guess. The best answer that Poison have, like your best answer is honestly doing this. Medium kick into light kick heal, right? Like that is your best answer. But again, against that, if he is charging, he can kinda let it, like it's gonna depend on his charge timing, right? Like there is some timing to this, and it's very hard to be ready for that all the time, right? So it is a pretty obnoxious matchup. And again, if you happen to get hit, if you stayed and took the guard break, he gets this and then gets his Oki or whatever he wants. He can cancel into backdash. You know my issue with this matchup? The entire matchup is a mini game. Like his V-Skill 2 turned this entire matchup to it's a mini game that you are constantly playing. It's just a constant mini game. There is not that much, like there's literally not that much to it. And I agree with Slab. This is, I actually use there's a very good usage for the V trigger 2 here. You can even use the close range command grab. So for example, right? So let me show you this. Right? So if he's charging that, but that have to work a little bit up close. And you can, if you're from a distance, you can use the further range one. But it is good against his armor. Like you can insta cancel into the command grab, and it's actually really good here. Of course, if he's from a little bit of a distance, you would use the far range one. But it is nice. I agree with you. It is nice in this instance, and it's even better versus his V-Skill 1. Like if he's doing that stuff, it is actually really good against that. And even just using the far range or just grab him out of that is really good. So I don't know. I genuinely like the tournament I just showed you guys earlier, like that bracket. I mean, and just so you know, Yanni. So in the previous tournament, in this match, like my first match, like I won that one 2-1, right? In this the first match was against the Zangief. That was a Zangief, and I know him, and we played before, and I still went with Cody. I don't know if I'm awful in this matchup, or but I find it difficult. I find it difficult. I honestly find it really, really difficult. So for me, Gif is 5-5. Zico is 5-5 as well. I think Ziku is very hard to deal with. Ziku's kind of interesting. I find old Ziku harder than young Ziku. I don't know if you guys have the same experience with me on that, but I find old actually harder to fight than young. The Graham the neutral battle, I think actually he is better at that than Poison. It's just that he doesn't have much in terms. His pressure isn't that good. Poison have better pressure than old Ziku. But in the neutral, I think actually old Ziku is better. At least in the matchup, you know. So let's get back to the matchup short. Guile, I think, is 6'4". Again, Poison does really well against Guile. I feel like he's one of the characters that the Poison can handle really well. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Let's add another one. I don't think there's that much to say about Guile. He just have to rely a lot on fireballs. They kind of have to play Angas. They kind of have to do a lot of random shoulders. You can get punishes here. Medium bunch avant line is good. Like, Guile feels to me like an easier Nash, if that makes sense, right? Maybe 5.5. I don't think it's as bad as 6'4", but 5.5 I feel like is fair. Okay, so this next one. No. Let's actually reset one. I have no idea how you know. Yes. I genuinely think this is impossible to win. I'm not even joking. I genuinely think this is impossible to win. This is very, 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 very difficult. Of all the characters in the game, Honda feels unwinnable. Like Poison's entire moveset just does not work against Honda. He's a character who's designed, every single aspect of his design is there to destroy Poison. You don't really have good answers to the butt slams. You don't really have good answers to the headbutt. If you block standing and if you are like half screen, you have a just frame punish that might reach sometimes. More often than not, it won't. And you have to punish into a special that is special cancel into something that is punishable. The medium rates doesn't work, crouching heavy punch doesn't work, light rate doesn't work, avant line doesn't work, have armor, have insane absurd V-triggers. If you get put into the corner once you die, it's just so many aspects to how bad this matchup is. And he does retarded damage output as well. Like his damage output is dumb as shit. It's like I don't understand. Oh my god. I genuinely think it's a 2-8 matchup. Like I swear I would be willing to random select a character over playing Poison versus Honda. Like if I didn't even play any other character, I swear to God I would random select before fighting Honda. It is that bad. It's actually that bad. I think that Lucia, I think is 5.5. Lucia, I think Lucia was 6'4". I think Lucia was really really easy, but now I think that Lucia with her buffs, she can be kind of hard to deal with. Her EX run is kind of hard. Lucia now does a lot of damage. She have a really good sweep now, so her whiff punish game is a little bit easier. So I think maybe it went from 6'4" to 5.5. I think now she actually have really good mobility as well. So I think Lucia now is 5.5. Seth, I think is a 4. I don't know. Maybe 5.5 at the end of the day, because Seth is hard, but also there's I see him a lot. Like that is the thing, Muhammad. I see him a lot. I see Honda a lot. I see him all the time. I actually see him a lot, and it's an incredibly obnoxious matchup. Seth, I don't know because V Shift kinda he got some nerves. There was I think it's more I think Seth is easier to fight overall than he was last year. And last year I thought it was like slight disadvantage. Now it feels kinda even. Now it feels kinda even. I don't think Seth is that bad. And then uh I don't want to say this because it might get me in trouble. Until now, maybe in the future it will change. I find it hard to zone him with poison. The range where his normal like Viskel 2 then I find to be really hard for poison. I find Viskel 2 then to be very difficult actually. There's not that much that she can do about him. He kinda is obnoxious in that regard. He dominates the mid range. He Dan is kinda like a mini Bison. Like the range that he dominates is also kinda like Bison. His pressure is really obnoxious. Um, it's hard for her to deal with many of his stuff. There is no real get off me attack. So I don't know. Maybe in the future it will change. There was this. I don't know if you guys seen it. There was this first to five where oh I haven't show La Muhammad I haven't tested it yet. Like now I'm worried about it. Actually let's check it out. Oh my god, can Dan get a combo punish? He probably can. He probably can. God, I hope not. So there was this video of a first to five set, and it was a Bunko using Dan versus Fudo, using poison. And Bunko's Dan, which is he been playing him like for like 3 weeks or like a month. Bunko beat Fudo 5-0. And Fudo's like one of the best poison players in the world, right? And he lost to a 3 weeks old Dan. 5-0. Maybe there's a bit of vibration. I think this is gonna be a little bit harder. He kinda goes a long distance. Yeah, I think it's this. Maybe it was a V skill actually. So let's actually try this out. Oh yeah, he's gonna get something. Maybe he's standing. The timing is kind of off though. So what is his longest range normal, right? Oh, cancel this blanket. So actually, okay, let's try this out. Alright. So the issue is I haven't practiced that V-skill cancel at all. So it's like, what is it? Let me get the timing down. Or you can do like Zidane kick, right? Alright, so let's actually try this again. Oh, that sucks. So here's the issue, like poison is really good from this range, and his walk speed is actually really nice. It's really fast, and like from this range, he dominates. So that's annoying. Like from this range, he can just keep spamming that stuff, and there's not really that much you can do about it. I don't know. I'm sad that I figured this out. Okay, guys, like let's keep this between us, right? There is no need for anyone to know about this. Like we're gonna pretend that this never happened. You wanna see something that's actually really obnoxious as well? But again, let's pretend that you haven't seen it. Yup. Again, let's keep this between us. So if you fight the poison matchup or you're fighting a mirror, don't let this information get out. Like let's keep this between us. I am from Egypt. Thank you, Open Doors. So yeah, that is pretty much it for poison. Overall, I think poison is still pretty solid. But the issue with poison is that these two characters are very prominent, and Honda is a very hard counter. Like even Guile, you know what sucks? Actually, looking at it now, like Cammy is top tier, Guile is top tier, Abigail is top tier, M Bison is really relevant. So it's like she loses versus many of the really high tier characters, and Honda is a very easy character to play and a very hard counter. See, Open Doors. So I don't know, but I still think she's fine. I think Poison overall is she's still fine, you know. Yeah, I agree. I think Cammy is probably the best character at the moment. Yeah. No. That is a matchup short. This one is a code. This is a matchup short for Cody. And this is let's leave this one. This is a matchup short for Poison. Which matchups do you think will change the most since the recent patch? Okay, for Poison. I think Ed was. I think Ed was. I think Ed is a lot harder now, simply because he punishes for a lot more, and it is harder. Alex, I would say was like 5.5, but he was kinda. I think he was kinda easy to. You were able to bully him, but I think that before it was kinda. You can't you were it was easier to bully Alex before. Now I feel like it's a legit 5-5. Who else? Like I said before, Sagat I would have put 6-4. Now it is 5-5. Kage, I'm not really sure, because I feel like Kage now does a ton of damage. Like his damage always increased. I thought it was kind of difficult before, but now he's way harder. Mika was a 3-7 matchup, but because she gets a lot weaker mid-screen, I feel like it's a lot better. Yeah, Katie, I was talking about this earlier. I don't know if like I usually. Personally, I would prefer to fight Urien over Ed, F.A.N.G, Akuma, Kage, like over all of these guys. Maybe it is maybe I do well versus Urien like as a character in general, because in general I do well versus Urien, but I don't think it's bad, honestly. I will try to do a Ken guide this season. I have plans for a Ken guide, a Laura guide. I wanna do Blanca. I mean, we'll try. I'm trying to get two character guides per month. That is the plan so far. So let's see. Let's see. Someone else on the matchup, Shane? Yeah, to Cammy it's awful. Linux, it's awful. The Cammy matchup is awful. It's like she doesn't lose. She gets destroyed by Cammy. Who's better, Dan or Evil Dan? Let's call him Demon Dan. So it's like Dan or Demon Dan. Yeah, and I want to do Vega as well. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, in all honesty. They share a lot of these same issues, I feel. But I think that so I think that Dan have better pressure and better neutral, but I also think that Kage have a lot more damage output. So I feel like neutral wise they are kind of the same, but Kage, I'm not really sure, in all honesty. My instinct is that Dan is better than Kage. So it's like I will say that Dan as a character is stronger than Kage, but I'm not really sure. Not really sure. But I do think like my instinct in all honesty, if I had to rate the Shotos, like if like say we made, so if I had to rate the Shotos, right? I think that Akuma is the best. I think that Akuma and Ryu. So alright, if we are rating the Shotos, my honest opinion, it would do something like, where is this? Yeah, and that's pretty much how I would rate the Shotos. This character is so cheap and so slept on. When you really think about it, Sakura doesn't have a single weakness. When you really think about it, like I don't think she either have a single awful matchup either. I don't know if I don't consider Sagat a Shoto, so it's like I wouldn't put him in that. But if I would have to say Sagat, like if we said that Sagat is a Shoto, I would put him here. He's better than Kage and Dan in my opinion. But I don't think he is not really a Shoto, but those were made. I had to know frame that. Yeah, you can. I don't know. I don't think he's on the level. It's like maybe put it here. Maybe Sagat would be somewhere like here. I don't think he's as good as Ryu or Akuma. He's not on Akuma level. Like Sagat is not on Akuma level, and I still think Ryu have a better matchup spread. Like Ryu does not lose to some characters as bad as Sagat does, but also Sagat have a lot better matchups than Dan and Kage. I don't think Kage or Dan destroy any characters. I will try her out. Maybe I'll find her fun. So I mean, yeah. I don't consider him a Shoto. Most, people are kind of split on whether Sagat is a Shoto or not. I don't consider him a Shoto, but I think he's like, yeah, like he shares some similarities, but I don't think he plays like Shoto. She is a copycat. She say Hadouken, yeah. There is a character I would have liked to play. I would have liked to play Birdie. I actually feel like I would be a good Birdie player. It's just that I don't like his design, and if he was a little bit better designed, I would have played Birdie. Who else? I have legitimate interest in playing Akuma, but I'm not really sure on Akuma. Like if I had to play Shoto, I would play Akuma. I think Akuma is probably like I like Kage, but Akuma I think fits me the best. Let me see. No, his visual design. I also kind of like Vega. Karen, I think I would be really good on Karen, but I hate that bitch, so she's out. So yeah, it's just visual design. Zeku, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Genuinely, when people refer to a character as a Shoto character, like there are some, generally Black, there is some, like generally when people talk about a Shoto character, they mean that the character have a fireball, he have an uppercut, and he have a forward attack that goes through fireballs. So like you'll find that Akuma's Tatsu goes through fireballs, Ryu's Tatsu goes through fireballs, Sakura's Tatsu goes through etc. And there is general normal style. Like notice that most of them have very samey-ish style of normals. Like most of the Shotos have the same style of normals. And there is like a general style to how they fight, right? Sagat doesn't really fight like them. Like he has the fireball and the uppercut, but his tiger knee is nothing like the Shoto Tatsus. And I think because of that, people don't consider him a Shoto. Like that is the general idea. I'm not sure on Zeku in all honesty. I like Zeku, but he's fun, but I didn't have, like I tried Zeku. Like Zeku is a character I really tried, but I don't know. Right now I've been playing Cody. I of course Poison. I am bored of Chun-Li to be honest, so I don't use her anymore. Even though I do think she is my best character, I'm kinda bored at this point. Yeah, Sagat also have very different normals. Who else? Cody and Poison. I have interest in Lucia. I am also interested in Cammy. You know, Slab, I actually did. I have interest in Minette. My issue with Minette is so here's the thing about Minette. I don't think you can play Minette as a secondary character. I think Minette and to an extent Cody are not characters that you can play on the side. At least with Cody, there is a lot of execution to him, like the zongs and playing with that. And Minette, his V-trigger execution and general execution, I think I can get there if I practiced on it. But I don't know. Like I have to main her, and I like Poison a lot more. I like I like Poison a lot more as a character, and I like characters who do a lot of damage. And that is the basic issue with that's my biggest issue with Minette. She does a lot of damage in V-trigger, but she doesn't do that much out of it, right? Like, but I like Minette though. I really like Minette. Like if Poison didn't exist, I would use Minette. I would use Minette actually. How about that Poison mod though? Okay. Poison is I honestly I have never used Oro. Like even in Third Strike I never begged him, so I never tried him out, but I will try. I genuinely like to try out everyone, right? That's +5. So he gets to combo after that? Interesting. But I don't know. Like I have to like the character on a visual level, and I'm not a fan of joke characters, and I'm not a fan of like beast characters. So I don't really use them that much. I have characters that have a high ceiling, you know. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that, but I agree with that sentiment. But at the same time, I have to like the character. Like there's so much that I like about Poison that yeah. Alright, that does work. So I think this is gonna be it as well. It's been 2 hours. We got actually a really interesting Poison and Cody. I can't play Sakura for 10 minutes. I get so bored of that character. I find her to be... I think she's really good, but she's also very dry and very boring. So I can't, you know, I don't know. It's like all you do is whiff punish with standing light kick. That is a character. I don't know. I honestly... It's like, so obviously if you have seen my character, you know that I have a type. I don't want to spit it out loud, but I obviously have a type. And if I playing a guy, I like a cool guy. And if I playing a girl, I like her to be my type. And I'm not into the schoolgirl arc style. I don't like that style, right? The schoolgirl stuff, I really don't like. But I'm gonna try. I'm favoring between Lucia and Cammy, seeing which one I would like to play, and maybe I'll just stick with Poison and Cody. But I don't know. Like I'm giving both of them a try and see because I really like Lucia as well a lot. So I don't know. But yeah, it's been really fun, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Had a lot of fun today. Hopefully you find them interesting. Again, as a final look, here is the this is the Cody matchup chart. And this is, yeah, I have to like the character. Like honestly, I like Cody. I like Poison. So there is stuff that I like gameplay wise, and there is stuff that I like gameplay and aesthetics. Right? Gameplay. If you notice, what is really common between Cody and Poison? Both of them are characters who do a lot of damage, and I like my characters to have a lot of damage, and I like them to have a reliable anti-air, right? Like these are the two things that I really like. And when I'm talking about the characters, so I like him to have the high damage and reliable anti-air. The speed I don't really care about that much. I don't really care about the character's speed that much. And I have to like them, you know, as a personality, right? If it is a guy, so if it's like someone like Cody, I have to like I like guys who are cool, but I don't like edgelords, right? So for example, out of the guys, like personality wise, I can play Cody, I can to some extent play G. Ed is too annoying. Alex, I guess I can play Alex. I can play Nash. Nash is an edge lord. Not really into that. I hate Urian. Bison I can play. Zangief is hilarious. I can play him. I actually like Honda. Zeku's is very cool. Ken is very cool. And I like Vega. Like personality wise, from the men, I can play any of these characters. Like these are the characters that I would play based on the design, right? And on the females, I could play of course Poison. Guile, I don't know. Maybe Guile. It's not too bad. I can play Poison. I can play Chun-Li. I can play Laura. I can play Kolin. Mika, of course. Falke. And Lucia. Not into Sakura. Not into Cammy, of course. Not into Sakura. Not into Ibuki. Not into Karen. Not into Minette. Not really. Like, Guile is mad cool. Guile is mad cool. Guile is actually very high on that list. Guile is one of the coolest characters in the game. But yeah, like I have to like their designs, right? I would like Ryu. Ryu. The issue with Ryu is that everyone's playing him, and I'm never into the whole poster boy style characters, right? So it's like out of these guys, you know, Bison is like Bison is not like Bison. I've always hated Bison, but he is such a badass in this game. He's super confident. His life is hilarious. He's like, I don't know. Like I hate Bison. Like you dislike fighting against Bison, but he's honestly a really cool character. Uh, and I like these guys and I like these women. No, I wouldn't play Sagat. Mm, not into that style. Yeah, thank you, Matthias. Thank you so much. But yeah, like these are the characters that I would play based on personality and style. Everyone else here. So Juri is weird because I do find her attractive, but at the same time she's too edge lordy for my taste. No, nah, not into that. Thank you, Matthias, so much. And actually Akuma as well. Akuma is a character that I don't like based on personality, but I can play him like gameplay wise. Oh yeah, sure. This is the where did it go? Oh shit! I think we lost it. Where did the poison matchup shard go? Fuck. Did I delete it? The issue is I was about to turn off the stream, so I think it's gone. Shit. I'm really sorry, Colton. I think it's gone. Yeah, I reset the stuff. Yeah. I'm really sorry, Colton, but you will find it in the archives. Again, really sorry about that one. I just wanted to reset it to show the shotos and stuff, and we got sidetracked. I was about to end the stream anyways. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to everyone who calls the stream, and thank you for all of your interaction. Hopefully you found it fun. Maybe next time we can do a tiers list. Hopefully, but I don't like a single person doing. Yeah. We can go back and screenshot it. I don't like doing a single person tiers list because your opinion will heavily differ depending on the matchups and all of that. So maybe one day or that's after a bit of while. I don't have a good understanding of everyone to make a tier list on them, right? And there's so many stuff that if you don't main the characters and grind the matchups, you wouldn't know. Like you might think that I guess Poison beat Ed, but based on what I showed you, you should know that Ed have really strong answers. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully we will get to do this again. Once more, thank you very much for watching. Good night and stay safe.